Coming back to you now, Captain Bansal, of course, you were talking about the narrative earlier, and this is something that we've been discussing as well. We saw how Pakistan was trying to push its version of events at the UNSC yesterday as well. That was completely dismissed. They were quizzed on the LET's role in the Pahalgam terror attack. They were completely grilled there as well. We also saw statements, inflammatory statements in the lead up to the Pahalgam terror attack by Asim Munir. That happened on the 16th of April, if I'm not mistaken, where he spoke about the difference between Hindus and Muslims as well, and called, of course, Kashmir its jugular vein. Then we've been seeing, even in the lead up to what's happened last night, this morning, we've seen inflammatory statements come in. When we talk about the narrative, how do you think this will play out? Because reactions are pouring in. The United States has said that they did expect that something like this would happen, but they just hope that it ends soon. So what I'm trying to understand is the scope of the narrative, and also the scope and the extent of involvement of the international community here.
See, firstly, we need to understand that Asim Munir is quite unlike his predecessor, General Bajwa, who was fairly secular in his orientation. Asim Munir is actually a hardcore Islamist. He may not appear so, but as I said, he has been brought up in an environment which makes him quite a hardcore Islamist. And that's why that statement, which was trying to reinforce two-nation theory, even the attack in Pahalgam you saw was made after identifying religion of the targeted people. So basic purpose was to create a reaction in India, create a communal situation in India, and also to draw support from the Islamic world by and large. He's tried to make this conflict look communal. Unfortunately for him, it has not really worked. The Indian public has shown its maturity by standing together. The Kashmiri citizens have all opposed this terror attacks and have actually protested against it across the length and breadth of Jammu and Kashmir. Similarly, there have been no communal riots in India. So as a result, even in the international community, you see that all Islamic states by and large have supported India's stance and have called for peace to be restored. So Pakistan's narrative as far as this conflict is concerned has fallen flat, because everybody today understands that there is no scope for tolerating terror acts and supporting terrorism. And everybody knows that Pakistan has been the epicenter of terror. Irrespective of where a terrorist attack happens across the globe, there are some strands which are linked to Pakistan. And as a result, any denial by Pakistan lacks credibility at this point of time, and international community knows it.
Right. Now, just to expand on that a little further as well, we saw some of the early reactions come in. We saw the first reactions perhaps coming from the United States as well. Again, I want to understand the scope of their involvement and whether or not they can get the two sides to solve this diplomatically, because we did hear this admission by Pakistan Defence Minister Khwaja Asif a while ago on another network as well, that admitting that they've been doing the dirty work for the West for decades. What's your assessment to that, and how do you think that ties into everything that we're seeing happening today?
See, what Pakistan has been trying to do, it is for some time that they have been trying to say that all these terror outfits which they nurtured, they blame it onto the West, say that they were trying to fight West's war in Afghanistan, and that's how these terrorist outfits were nursed and created. But that narrative has really not been bought by anyone. And you need to understand that contrary to India, the US especially has enormous leverage over Pakistan. Not because of financial or economic reason, but because of one very important factor, that almost entire Pakistani elite has at least one family member in US. And the US arm twisting in terms of denial of visa has a personal impact on these people. And as a result, the Pakistani elite, because Pakistan in any case is not a genuine democracy that we have seen in the last elections and subsequently, because the most popular leader continues to remain in jail. The elite drives the narrative, and especially the military elite. And virtually every one of them has a relative in US or the West. And this denial of visa can really arm twist Pakistani establishment a great deal. And we have seen that Pakistani establishment sues for peace the moment West uses this ultimate weapon. And as a result, I have a feeling that US would be able to pressurize Pakistan to some extent to sue for peace. Although, as I told you, that for domestic audience, Pakistan will have to show that they have taken a stance. Otherwise, Pakistan's military, which is already on the firing line by people in Balochistan and Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, will start getting more brickbats even from Sindh and Punjab.
Right, now when we talk about the United States leverage, I also wanted to talk about China here. We saw a couple of days ago it threw its weight behind Pakistan, saying that it stands firmly with Pakistan. What is your assessment of that? How do you see China's role here?
See, China, as I said, and I again repeat, China would really not come out openly in support of Pakistan. China at this point of time wants to improve its relations with India. It has to make certain statements in support of Pakistan because of its historical reasons, because of its commitment in China-Pakistan economic corridor, and the fact that a large number of Chinese citizens are living in Pakistan and working in an environment where they could easily be targeted by terrorist outfits and are being targeted, and they need security from Pakistani security forces. So China, to my mind, whatever is my assessment is, at the most would make some statements, but would rather try and maintain a neutrality, would request both the countries to come and negotiate. That is likely to be the Chinese stance. I don't think so China would come out actively in support of Pakistan.
All right. Now, of course, this operation, it's called Operation Sindoor. How do you assess the significance of this name?
See, Sindur, as you know, in India, the Hindu ladies actually put it on their forehead to symbolize their married status. And many of them lost their Sindur during this terrorist attack in Pahalgam. And I think the nomenclature Operation Sindur is to say that we have tried to make amends for their loss. Of course, their loss can never be made good, but we have tried to avenge their sense of grief to some extent by taking actions against the perpetrators of this heinous terrorist attack. And that's why I think symbol of Operation Sindur makes a very, very deep impact as far as Indian society is concerned.
Right, Captain Bansal, also, would you say that Pakistan is playing with fire? We've been discussing this as well. Do you think Pakistan can afford this gamble that it's taken on India? Because India has time and again exposed the vulnerabilities. If we were to just go back and just talk about this operation alone, it has exposed the vulnerabilities, the fragile system in Pakistan's air defense as well. So what's your take on that? Do you think Pakistan can really afford this fight?
See, I have no doubts that Pakistan is a very fragile state, and we saw that. Internally, we saw that. What happened is, when this tension was going on, you saw Quetta-Karachi highway was blocked. The Baloch Liberation Army actually freed 10 prisoners from a van that was carrying them from Quetta to Karachi. They blocked the highway. We saw that right in the heart of Islamabad, a cleric gave a call that Pakistani citizens need not support Pakistan, because they said the Pakistan army is actually curbing them. There have been reports from Khyber Pakhtunkhwa telling that people of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa are not with Pakistan. On the military front, Pakistan's economy is in shambles, so their capacity to import arms, ammunition, as well as oil is severely limited. Pakistan's government passed a resolution saying that all oil marketing companies should sell the domestically produced petroleum oil lubricants, and against which the oil marketing companies actually protested, saying that the petrol or diesel that is being produced by Pakistani refineries is not up to the mark and is causing damage to the vehicles and creating pollutions. So that is the situation, because in any scenario, Pakistan, which is dependent on import of oil, could be brought on knees if a prolonged conflict continues. So Pakistan's capacity to pursue a long war is severely limited. So they are hoping that international community will mediate and stop this war. And before that, they probably want to show a sense to their public that they have taken a retaliation, or they have made good for whatever loss of prestige that they have suffered.
That statement really resonates because perhaps it does appear as though Pakistan is trying to feign resolve at this point. This appears to be a lot of posturing as well. But of course, let me just circling back to the same question that is perhaps on everyone's mind right now. With what's happened, and of course the briefing is yet to happen, that will give us some clarity as well. Do you think what has happened last night raises the spectre of an all-out escalation?
See, I think India has been very restrained and Pakistan cannot afford an all-out war. But having said that, please understand in this sort of scenario, the decision-making invariably passes to the man on the scenario. Any commander on the site who is on the boundary border can take any action unilaterally which may escalate the issue. So while no country wants an escalation, but that feasibility or possibility cannot be denied because in this sort of a state of heightened tensions, the autonomy that commanders on ground get could lead to escalation at any time, at any place.
All right, I hear you. But just to further, just for better understanding here as well, we know that India has demonstrated its preparedness. We know it's prepared for any scenario. It has taken 15 days and it's come up with a resolute and a clear response, albeit showing considerable restraint as well. It's a precision strike. That being said, we've spoken of Pakistan's vulnerabilities as well. What will it take for the two sides, or perhaps Pakistan at this point, to back off and realize that perhaps a diplomatic solution is the best option for them at this point?
See, Pakistan, I think, realizes it before the strike itself that the diplomatic solution is the best option for it. But it cannot have a loss of face, especially the army, because in Pakistan you need to understand that democratic dispensation is only a facade. The real power as far as India is concerned or these issues of security and foreign policy are concerned are with the Pakistan army. And for them, loss of face is a major issue, especially for General Asim Munir, who's consolidated his position in the army after huge dissensions, after sacking a lot of generals and after imprisoning one of the contenders to the post of the chief. So he has a problem. So he would want to show to the domestic audience. And one way is by peddling a false narrative, which they are trying to do. If that narrative sells, they would have, I think, no hesitation in going for a negotiated settlement. However, if that narrative does not sell and Pakistan's population starts criticizing the army, they would try and save face by pretending to act. So that's the feasibility that exists at this point of time. As I said, Pakistan cannot afford a war. So that's why they are talking about nuclear saber rattling and all those issues,
right,
which they keep repeating time and again.
I'm glad that you've mentioned that as well, because we've been seeing that this nuclear bogey, we've been hearing about it. Pakistan has been talking about raising the nuclear threat as well. Do you think their bluff has been called?
See, I think there is no doubt that Pakistan's statement was if there is a threat to their existence or something like that. In any case, Pakistan is an occupation of a huge territory of India. And if India has to give a military response, there are numerous ways which it can be given. And I think their nuclear bogey has definitely been called. Nuclear weapons are not for use. So all these bunkum about tactical nuclear weapons, etc., I think it's unusable because India's nuclear doctrine is very clear that use of any nuclear weapon against Indian troops or Indian territory anywhere of any type will elicit a massive retaliation. So with that sort of a nuclear doctrine, I personally feel Pakistan would not be able to cross the Rubicon. This is just an ideal threat, basically to pressurize the international community to act. From India's point of view, a prolonged state of tension where Pakistan can be starved is a better option than probably escalating the tensions.